Okay, it's 7 p.m., so we'll call this meeting, the Cecil Township Zoning Hearing Board, to order officially. So we'll start just with quick round of introductions for everyone. My name's Kara Sheridan. I'm the chairman of the zoning board. We have James Jones, who is the vice chairman, and today Alan Barney will be one of our sitting board members. Kathy Landock from acting as our stenographer. John Hosa on my left. He is representing Tucker Aaronsburg as our solicitor today. And then good old Liz over there, probably everybody knows, but Liz is here. She's our zoning director. Before we start, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Alan Barney as an official member of the zoning board for the proceedings this evening.
I second the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. The next item I'd like to address is the approval of the minutes from the May 20th meeting. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 20th meeting.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain since I wasn't here. Now I'd like everyone who intends to speak, or if you even think that maybe you'll be moved to speak by some strange outside agent, stand up and be sworn in by our stenographer so that you can be put onto the record. All right, thanks everyone. We have, this is listed under new business, but is kind of also old new business. So just to get started, this is an issue that we heard a couple months ago regarding originally an application to perform home occupation in a detached structure. I'd like for Liz, if you don't mind, to kind of give a summary of why this matter is being brought forth to us again, to just indicate, any changes or differences in what this application is and how it differs from any previous applications.
Sure. I'm Liz Ross, the zoning officer. And we previously heard an appeal from Mr. Schodel regarding a zoning permit that was issued to operate a no-impact home-based business. And that was withdrawn because he was using the detached garage. At the hearing, Mr. Schodel was hoping to be allowed to operate using the detached garage, and it didn't go that way. His appeal was denied. So Mr. Schodel came back to the township and said, okay, I can operate out of the attached garage. How do we proceed? He wanted to get his permit back to operate as he previously was, but now just out of the attached garage in the house. And after speaking with Mr. Schodel himself, as well as the township solicitor, the best direction to move forward with was for him to get approval under special exception as a home occupation from the zoning hearing board. In the R2 zoning district, it does allow for special exceptions, including home occupation. And we believe that his business plan could meet those requirements and that a hearing before you guys was appropriate.
Okay. Sorry, just to confirm, based on your conversations with the solicitor as well, it seemed to be just within the bounds of what the home-based business was defining.
So not the no-impact home-based business, however, the home occupation.
Home occupation, got it.
Was an application that she believed could be considered, yes. I do have a couple comments for you guys and questions for Mr. Schodel later on, but as far as recap,
Okay,
that's where we stand.
thank you. Before we ask Mr. Schodel to come up and present any of the information that he's prepared for us, are there any questions for Liz before we go to that item? No. Okay, so we'd ask Mr. Schodel to come up and kind of any comments or anything you've prepared for today that you'd like to make statements regarding. This is your opportunity to do so.
Name's Matt Schodel, 242 McConnell Road. Okay. Yeah, I'm prepared to follow all of the requirements for the home occupation. I wasn't quite sure on them last time, but I know exactly what I need to do and not to do,
And you don't see any issues with the items that are before you? You've discussed those with Liz, and you feel that you're able to operate your business within those parameters?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Schodel while he's up here at the podium?
I do.
Great, thanks, Liz.
Okay, from the township, they would like us to look at the intention behind the definition of home occupation. The first aspect of it says that it's a business use having a service characteristic. And they question if your operation is in fact a service characteristic. The examples that were given say a typical service business in a home like hairdresser or accounting, which are all considered professional in some form. They don't require anything that would not normally be in a residence to be there. They wouldn't require you to bring anything else onto the property. The question was that, could you speak to how your operation is more of a service characteristic business and not a commercial business that would belong in a commercial property? So for example, you're washing cars, that's a residential, normal, everyday thing.
Absolutely.
Whereas perhaps other operations such as painting or different things, repair, that would fall into a different category and belong in a different location from the board's perspective. So if you could speak to that a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, everything that I will be doing through the business will be in the top garage, and it's no different than what everybody probably does themselves on a Saturday afternoon, washing their car or vacuuming it out, or I won't be bringing in any heavy equipment, no dump trucks or bulldozers or anything. It's what everybody else does.
The other comment was the fear of what it may turn into. That is this going to then turn into repairs? Are we then going to have fumes and equipment? Are you going to get backed up and have multiple cars parked outside?
I only work on one car at a time. They're always in the garage, and honestly, I hope to grow that big, and then I'll have a commercial space.
And the last comment for the board's consideration is they question if this is a runaround from the previous approval, and if it's already of point of contention with the neighbors, they ask if this is setting precedence in the township. And they would like the zoning hearing board members to consider that. And that was all I have.
All for me.
Sorry about that. What will your hours of operation be?
I usually work 9:30 to, at the latest, 3:30, 4.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, at this time, we can open it up to anybody else who'd like to come up and speak regarding this issue to provide any input for the board's consideration. Thank you, Mr. Schodel.
Jeff Mitchell, 242 McConnell Road. 247 McConnell Road, across the street from 242 McConnell Road. Here we are again, trying to decide what has already been decided. No matter how you say it, how you spell it, how you paint it, it's still automotive industries, which in Pennsylvania is classified as light industrial. How does this fit in the residential zone? It does not. Okay, the ordinance have been held up, and the cease and desist was the outcome, the right outcome. Technically, I don't understand how you can reverse this. Doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, now and looking at this new sheet here, now it went from 25% down to 15% of the floor area in the dwelling. Okay, and everything's supposed to be done in the dwelling of this business. Even if you wash the car, it's supposed to be done in the building. Everything's supposed to be done inside the building, not out in the street, not out in your driveway. Okay, that's the whole thing of home occupation. Okay, now this house, you can look it up on Zillow, anything, it's 1,344 square feet. 15% of that is 201 square feet. If you go up there and measure that garage, I'll guarantee it's bigger than 201 square feet. How big of a car can you work on in 201 square feet? You can't work on a truck in 201 square feet, okay? There's not enough room. What are you going to work on? Volkswagens all the time? I mean, you really don't have room. I don't see how you have the room to do that, okay? And who wants this across from their property, a business like that? It's good, like you said, only wants it to grow so he can have a commercial response here and try to become bigger. We're bigger where? Right there? Okay, so, Kara, I've seen you at the gas and oil meetings, and you're very discontent with how that oil thing is up behind your house. It's making the whole township a little bit over the edge here. Okay, that's 500 feet away from your home. Now, if you want to give this kind of thing 500 feet away from the nearest home, well, then give it that, okay? Not right across the street from in a residential area. Who knows who's going to come into that town to have work done on their car? You don't know. They're going to be across from your house, checking your place out. What's going to happen there? You don't want that kind of traffic. I'm sure you don't want that across from your house. I don't think anybody here wants that across from house, especially it's going to grow. I think this is a bad idea. It's already been decided. It's like. This is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's still a wolf. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I don't know how we can let this happen here and set a precedent for this kind of activity. It's just automotive industries, which is light industrial. I've been to several automotive places that do detailing, that work on cars, paint cars, do everything like that. They all told me we're here because we're light industrial. And if you look at our ordinances, you start at the top of our ordinances and go all the way down the ordinances, you don't see anything automotive till you hit the commercial and the light industrial. There's nothing up there in the residential area about that kind of thing. I don't see how you can let this proceed.
Can I ask a question? The difference between a person who is, as a hobbyist, is doing this type of work, from the outside, what would you be seeing that would be concerning to you, given that in my opinion, it's, he's being paid for these services, yes, of course, so he's making money, so technically it is commercial in nature. But what is the activity that you've either seen previously or are concerned about seeing going forward that would raise your concerns about this being nearby? So I'm just bringing this up because with me, I have a 300-foot well tower in my backyard, right? There's banging, there's fumes, there are explosions occasionally. I have truck traffic up and down my road all the time. I have police around all the time facilitating moves of heavy equipment in and out of the area. So believe me, if anybody, in industrial use, I will go on the record to say does not belong absolutely in a residential area. And that's something that, as you stated, I'm very, very impassioned about. But what I'm trying to understand from your concerns is what are the activities that you either have seen or you are nervous about experiencing having this activity close in proximity to your neighbor?
Yeah, I mean, the oil well thing, just let me finish on that. I've been around all the oil well places, probably in western Pennsylvania, and once they take that rig down, you're never going to hear or see that oil well. You won't even know it's there. Okay, that's beside the point, but I've been to all of them, okay, and in western Pennsylvania, and that's basically what happens. This is the bad part about it. Once that tower comes down, there's going to be some pipes on top of that hill, and you'll never hear them again.
Yeah,
and I would rather have I'd rather have pipes across my road sticking out of the ground and never hear them again than have constant traffic coming in there, with cars coming in there, you know, deliveries being made over there, stuff's being taken. If it's just washing cars, but you see what he said, he wants the opportunity to grow, to become commercial. Now, what do you do when he grows and becomes commercial? He's gonna come down here and say, hey, look, I'm too big for this garage. That's gonna happen real fast. What are you gonna do then? So you wanna stop it now, you don't wanna give it that opportunity. Now you know, you already said no. Now what are you gonna do? Say, oh, well, go ahead down in the garage down over the hill because you need more room. It's not the right area. It should be in the light industrial area. That's what automotive is classified.
Understood. So one item that you spoke to was regarding the traffic. And please correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd ask Mr. Schodel to come up and make any comments to the contrary. But what I thought I heard in the last meeting was that he actually picked up the vehicles from his customers and brought them back to the home, not that additional traffic would be a concern. If that's not, I mean, there needs to be protections put in place from impacts by neighbors, for sure, and I completely
Yeah,
agree.
how are you gonna monitor that?
So what I'm asking, though, is if that's one of your concerns and one of the things, well, you're going to monitor it. I mean, honestly, if we're being honest, if there's a problem.
If you want me to monitor it, I will.
No, I'm just saying that people who live nearby will notice if there is a problem with traffic, and then because we have it written into conditions, for example, he will be cited and he will be shut down because he's in violation of a permit, for example. So besides the traffic, and the possibility, because it was also my understanding that he's going to put all the work he's going to do is going to happen within the garage, are there other concerns that you have that you'd like to put on the record for our consideration?
I don't see that happening. I see it wanting to grow and expand. And you know, you got to stop it now before it grows and expands. That's the point, okay? Okay, like I said, 15%, that garage is bigger than 15%. How do you justify letting him use that garage when it's more than 15% of what he's allowed to use?
Okay, understood. And that is a good point. I think I would like to ask Mr. Schodel if he has the dimensions of the garage and can speak to how large the garage is with respect to the rest of the home. And then I'll be quiet and let other people ask questions.
Well, I mean, if I look at that home, I've been in that home since it was built in 1968, and that garage is probably 12 by 30. So figure it out. It's more than 201 square feet.
Liz, do you happen to have that off the top of your head? I'm sorry.
I do not.
That's okay. Can we look into that? That's something I think we need to talk to.
The dimensions he gave you at the last meeting, they're not correct. If you look at house up, it's 1,344 square feet. The number they had was a much larger number than that.
Sorry, real quickly, any more questions, James or
Yeah,
Alan?
I actually have a question that would probably go to Mr. Schodel, so I apologize for not bringing it up before, but just question about how taxes are paid on the business.
I'm sorry to ask you to do this, but it is it's being recorded for the live stream. If you could just step to the mic and speak into the microphone, please. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Appreciate it.
Sorry. No. Yeah, since I moved into that home, I have a bedroom in the basement with a finished bathroom. So all 3 levels are being used, unlike when I bought the house. So there's more square footage than, it's like 2,500 square foot house. And I am doing all the work within the top garage. I wash the car in the garage, dry it, wax it, everything's being done within the house. the taxes are being paid like anybody else. I go through my tax lady and pay my taxes. I'm not sure what the question exactly.
Yeah, so I guess how are they filed? Are they filed as business and?
Yeah, it's an LLC.
Okay, within the Cecil Township as well?
Sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? No. Good. Anyone else would like to speak on the record regarding this matter for our consideration?
Hello all. Thank you for the time to speak on this matter once again. My name is Jay Cawley and I live on Muse Bishop Road. Hawley, Hoelle. I would like to take the time to address some of the comments toward not only Mr. Shodel, but other residents of the township. I mentioned the YouTube replays of the zoning hearing board meetings in my statement in the springtime and how some of the descriptions of so-called commercial activity were completely false. I would like to address a few specifically at this time because I feel it portrays this whole situation in a very incorrect picture. It was stated that cars are on display. Mr. Shodel does not display multiple cars in his yard for his business. If there are multiple cars in the yard or the driveway, it is more likely our friend group going to meet somewhere. We celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and when the weather is nice, we take our cars out for a nice night with our wives and girlfriends. We use Mr. Shodel's house as a meeting place, not a display area. The group is usually there a brief period, and then we go wherever our destination is. Trailers, cars, and side-by-sides being unloaded. Once again, this is not a part of Mr. Shodel's business. If we all go on a riding trip, equal locally or out of town, once again, we meet up at Mr. Shodel's house because of the proximity to where we are all going. Yes, there are trucks and trailers, but it was not for commercial activity nor related to the business. It was for personal enjoyment with our friend group. Neither of those statements made by the complainant are true and are blatantly false. Use of the garage. Correct me if I'm wrong, the garage was built in what year? 2021? Mr. Shodel was still employed at his last job until June of 2023. It was stated that this garage was built for the purpose of this business. That garage was not built for the sole purpose of the business, as previously stated. The garage was used for storage of his children's quads, dirt bikes, spare tools, etc. It was not, nor will it be, another buggies as mentioned. If you review
Sorry, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
That's the statement that was made about the automotive, that it was going to be another buggies.
What is buggies?
Buggies Auto.
Oh, okay, understood. Thank you.
If you review the attendance on both sides of this issue, it is very apparent that Mr. Shodel has more support than neighbors upset. His direct next-door neighbor stated that he didn't even know there was a business because he did not recognize any kind of commercial activity, noise, or nuisance. He is a man trying to start a business for a skill he has and that can benefit various people. This situation has been very one-sided, and very little facts were presented by the complainant. It was very much opinionated and painted Mr. Shodel in a negative way with little to no facts. Anyone that hears about the situation does not understand why this is happening at all. All I can ask is if this situation is truly disrupting the peace and tranquility of the neighborhood, why are there not more people arguing that there is an issue? One neighbor should not be the basis if someone can make a living, even if they don't agree or like it. It's the point where I ask if this is about a neighborhood business issue or if this is a personal attack. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for our consideration?
Russell Kratt, live at 240 McConnell Road, next to Mr. Shodel. As the previous person just stated, I was not even aware that he had the business going because there was absolutely no disruption to anything in the neighborhood. I can see, his house is in full view, his yard, my yard is in full view. I spend a lot of time on the back porch, and we didn't even realize that he had anything going on because, as the previous person has stated, he washes the car in the garage, he cleans the car in the garage, he waxes the car in the garage. So there's no disruption. I don't understand why this is an issue if he's abiding by all the rules. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Any more questions from the board? We're going to take a quick executive session, so stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back in hopefully a little while. Okay. What I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion that we grant the request for special exception as described in the application and the hearing, subject to the following conditions. Hours of operation will be 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. All customer vehicles shall be stored in an enclosed building. No more than one customer vehicle shall be on the property at a time. In the event that there's any type of expansion, you're going to need to seek alternate accommodations. All operations shall be conducted in the enclosed garage. Approval shall be for the proposed use only. Any proposed addition to the existing building is subject to further approvals, including the need for potential variances. The applicant is required to meet all of the other requirements of the ordinance and to comply with all other applicable laws of Cecil Township, Washington County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the United States of America. This is all conditioned on the fact that we confirm that the square footage of the garage is not in excess of 15% of the total square footage of the home. So we need to confirm that. That is my motion. Would anyone like to second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Okay. At this time, I'd like,
Say no.
oh, no, nay. Good?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. At this time, I have prepared a statement of dissent, and it, in part, is in regards to the last couple of points that were made. You know, abiding by the rules is what this is based out of, okay? Not a measurement of support, of who comes to support, all right? My motion not to vote in accordance with my colleagues is because I believe the business does not fit into the definition of service characteristic as put forth by the Board of Supervisors for R2 medium density residential zoning district, okay? And therefore, that is in fact the abiding by the rules. That's the rules in which we need to abide by. So that is the basis for my decision.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Any items to bring up for discussion? Okay, with that said, I'll adjourn tonight's meeting of the Cecil Township Zoning and Hearing Board for June 17th. Thank you all.